Hello and welcome to my log cabin in the bottom of my garden. Fantastic space. I say mine, it's the wife's mainly, but you know, I'm allowed to come in here and play the guitar every now and then. So I'm moving on to more things now in relation to the whole PTSD thing and stuff like that, and this is now more of a reflections series. They're all going to be called reflections at this precise moment in time, because that's essentially what I'm going to do. I'm going to be reflecting on things now. Those of you that are friends with me on Facebook would have seen that it's the 25th year anniversary of the Gulf War this year. So I mean, if this thing stays on YouTube for a while, it's 2016 is the year, 2016. So it is 25 years of the Gulf War when I was 18, and obviously that played a big part in the fact that I've got PTSD being in that war. So essentially, those of you, as I said, that were friends with me on Facebook would have seen that I took a diary. I wrote a diary while I was out there, and I posted up a lot of the stuff that I'd written, especially sort of like the pre-build-up phase, and then obviously the 100 hours or the 4 days worth of the battle, the Gulf War. So part of the reflections phase was what I was going to do. I was going to read those entries out, but I wanted to give a bit of a preamble, a bit of a sort of beginning in relation to that first, to kind of explain to people about, you know, what exactly this I'm trying to achieve here. So, and in essence, it's this. I was brought up in a generation, you know, born, sort of grown up in the 70s and the 80s, of, you know, grandparents that all fought in the Second World War. And war was something you'd experienced in the films that didn't have the realism of the stuff now, like Band of Brothers, for example. It's just absolutely superb. If you've never seen it, watch it. It's very emotional too, very realistic. And stuff in Warlord, you know, Gotten Himmel and all this sort of stuff. And hey, if you're Japanese, all of this kind of crap. Shout out to Charlie Bell there and Ian Deacon, who have done the Eddie Nugent series. Just read those for a funny side of the military, okay? Eddie Nugent, Picking Up the Brass, Map of Africa, and the third one, because they just managed to get their arse out to write it. But watch them, Charlie, there you go, free plug. Excellent books. They give you the funny side of the army, where they turn around and say, you know, not everyone wants to join the SAS and kill people with a toothpick. And it's spot on. It's just fucking spot on. And anyone that's served will find it hilarious. Anyone that hasn't served will find it hilarious. But what I'm trying to say is that I experienced the time of the 4th Armoured Brigade, when we went out to Op Granby, as we call it, or Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm, as the Americans called it, and I think Desert Sabre appeared at one stage, at one of them, whatever one that was. And obviously that contributed a lot to my general madness. I mean, I'm not saying it was everything, but there was bits of it. So I'm reflecting on those facts. And, you know, war, I suppose, it was a great adventure, and the thing was, I was prepared for the death part of it and stuff like that, or so I thought. But one thing that I really feared, and this came out in my diaries as well, was this whole chemical threat. One of the things I remember seeing something on the First World War when I was very young, and these guys that had been hit by a chemical agent in a bombardment. I can't remember what battlefield it was, Passchendaele, Ypres, I'm not sure. And I just thought, you know, there's no real nice way to die, let's face it, you know, in a military situation. But seeing that just scared the bejesus out of me. And I think consciously I had this fear, this whole chemical fear and stuff like that. And let's face it, the Iraqis had used it. Before, you know. It was one of those things. And I was very conscious of that. I hated wearing respirators, because they just fucking used to steam up and I couldn't see what I was doing and anything like that, you know. I hated going in the gas chambers with the CS. I mean, that was just fucking awful. You know, so I had this real fear of that. But, you know, but there were other things as well, reflections on war, looking back. The noise of war, you know, heavy cannon firing, you know, the self-propelled guns, the raw horse artillery, Challengers, main battle tanks, heavy machine guns, screaming. And the smells of war as well, you know. You know, burnt pork would kind of give me a flashback. I remember lots of things from driving our Panzer, commanding the Panzer as well, and one of my best friends, Andy Luck, who was with me out there and spent most of my army career with me. You know, or he would have seen things that I didn't see when he was driving or he was commanding, and vice versa. So everyone's got their own term of reference. Everyone sees different things. Everyone kind of experiences different things. You know, it's like being a witness in a judicial system. No one's going to see kind of the same thing. Everyone's experiences are going to be differ. So it's not about glorifying it at all. It's not about that. It's putting the realism out there and saying, you know, this is a horrific fucking thing. And we saw the Basra Road, the highway to hell, when the Iraqi army were leaving. And, you know, to see that carnage there was just, you know, something that was always living. And one thing I always remember was the fact that I saw a head. I saw this head. And this isn't something that freaks me out, strangely enough. But I saw a head, and I just remember thinking, where's the body? Where the fuck is the body to this head? So looking on the reflections, so this is part 1 of reflections. Moving on, I have an appointment tomorrow with the delightful cat. We're working through things. I had very good intense sessions the last 2 weeks, but now I'm reflecting, I'm looking back, and I'm thinking a lot more about that time and what happened back at that time. And I'm kind of feeling okay about things now, in that sense. I mean, I'm probably going to have this for the rest of my life, and it's, you know, it's going to, of course, it's affected me. And I think it always will. But I think it's important that I should share with people that it's good to talk about these things. And none of this is about the glorification of war. War, at times, is a necessary evil. You know, sometimes it has to be done. I'm not saying I agree with it, but would I do it again to protect my family and the ones that I love? Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Knowing what I know now, I would still do it if I had to do it, if it was for the right reasons. So, I know this is long-winded. I had a lot to get off my chest tonight, so hopefully, please look forward to the next reflections. I'm going to be reading parts from my diary that I did out there. Now, a lot of people found them interesting. I hope that you will. So, please, you know, stay tuned in, and let's get this recognised. Let's get it out there. It's not a stigma. There's lots of people. Keep doing those 22 press-ups, guys. I'm doing it myself, and I'm proper in clip about all that shit. But anyway, so to the next time, mañana.